So who ruined Christmas morning and how did they do it? I drove 12 hours to get home to my dad's house, staying 5 days because he guilts me for never staying more than 2 nights. I'm divorced with grown kids. They were coming in later, so it's just me and him for the first 3 days. On my first day here, he told me at noon he was leaving at 1:30 because he had plans with his lady friend. He invites me to dinner at her house but tells me he's spending the night there. I decline the dinner and plan a solo day in my hometown. Annoying he ditched me, but whatever. I spend my day running errands, come back to his place early, order my favorite local takeout, wrap presents, and fall asleep on the couch. This guy at 5:30 a.m. he feels like something isn't right and checks his home thermostat app on his phone. He sees the temp at an egregious 71 degrees. Knowing he set it to 68 degrees, he's sure I have fallen asleep upstairs, left the gas logs on, and the house is about to burn down with me in it. So he does what any 72-year-old would do with a 45-year-old son staying at his place. The man comes home, jerks me out of my sleep on the couch, and rips me into a new guy. I'm talking veins in the neck bulging, spittle flying while he's yelling type of new guy. For 3 degrees! He then spends 5 hours questioning me on everything about my career, personal life, mental health, etc., truly riding my ass. So yeah, it was probably the last Christmas I ever come home. I would go home. Kids can visit him alone. But most likely they'd be more than glad to cancel their plans to visit him too. He deserves to be alone. Let him explain to his lady friend why his family decided they want nothing to do with him. I almost did. But there would have been a lot of other impacted family members. For one, my sons came here yesterday. Being that I'm 9+ hours from home, an audible for our holiday wasn't feasible for me to just up and leave. It has been worth it to me to stay a couple of days and see my siblings and nieces, nephews, as I only see them once a year at best. His lady friend knows he's a bad guy. She's acknowledged it before. We even exchanged a few comments the other night after dinner about how hard-headed he is. She's a gem, though. I don't know how she stands him. Hopefully she can explain to him next Christmas why I'm not here. I had a similar experience with my mom, who I've never been on good terms with when I was around 25. Not about a thermostat, just overall verbally abusive, very unpleasant visit. When I caught an earlier flight home, I told her that would be the last time I'd ever visit. More than 15 years later, and we live in the same state now, I've kept to it with zero regrets. By not visiting her at all, I've managed to sustain a relationship with her over the phone. Otherwise, I'm positive it would turn into no contact by now. Between 15 and 22 years old, I'd had already been no contact. I have 2 older siblings who have a very strained relationship with her as well, but they let her visit once or twice per year now, but she can't stay the night. I'll never understand why grown adults let themselves be talked to this way by anyone, even their parents. Since I became financially independent, I've made it very clear to my dad that if he ever yells at me like that again, then it'll be the last time he ever speaks to me. The moment he woke me up to yell at me about a thermostat, I would have been packing my bags and out the door. Staying 5 more hours for him to lecture you as a 45-year-old adult is just pathetic. Was that typical of his behavior during your upbringing, or is it something new? Because it sounds like some sort of dementia may be setting in. Paranoia and mistrust could result from diminishing faculties. Grilling you on who you are, worse, seems like a sign of memory loss. Grilling you about their mental condition could be a projection of what's happening to them. I don't know how much abuse I could take in this situation either, but setting him out to pasture alone could be cruel. It may be worth looking at it from a deeper perspective before cutting ties. This year, my friend's 91-year dad exploded in a fist-pounding tantrum over trivialities at a restaurant, and the whole family was embarrassed and pissed to the point of leaving. But I could only see reasons to be sympathetic. He was hard of hearing, had trouble walking from the parking lot, and generally wasn't receiving the needed help and attention when he was also the one hosting us all. Eventually, he apologized, and it was good again. He's been verbally abusive my entire life. Irish temper sort of thing. He was physical when I was young. This isn't new at all, unfortunately. There certainly are some age factors present. He's hard of hearing, remembers less, and repeats himself more. All of that's been steadily increasing in the last 10, 12 years. I see both sides here, but at the end of the day, I gotta protect myself. I have a family of my own, and my peace and time with my sons are far more important than sticking through a tough time with my aging dad. He's had 45 years to get some of this right. He gave. I'm sorry. I cannot imagine treating either of my sons like that for any reason. Even if they truly screwed something up, their feelings are more important. I'm just really sorry that he ruined your Christmas holiday. They want you there like they want a coffee table there. Grandma forgot where she hid the presents. Haven't found them yet. This reminds me of a memory that always makes me smile. Growing up, when one side of my family did Christmas, it would always be at the great-grandmother's house. One of the traditions was a scavenger hunt that she put together. It was always the same ending every year. $20 stuffed in tiny boxes hidden in the tree for each of us. But we all loved her and would do it all the same. Well, 1 year age had finally caught up to her and the clues were a mess. Repeated, out of order, or just not there. After we got sent to the same spot for the third time, we knew this year's hunt had an issue, and she finally just told us where the gift was hidden. In hindsight, that was the first sign that stood out to everybody that her mental facilities were starting to slip. It's never a fun time being able to recognize when a loved one is approaching their twilight years, but we're all grateful that it was such a humorous moment that was able to mark the occasion. Merry Christmas and hope you're able to find yours. My grandma did this to a few presents she got the girls when they were young, and over 2 decades later, when I was sitting on the end of Grandma's bed, I looked at her wall and go, "Hey, those are cute necklaces!" And my grandma freezes. "Wait, what necklaces?" "Oh my God, that's where I put them." They had been on the wall next to her head for over 20 years. My grandma used to buy everyone's presents by September and forget where she hid them at Christmas. After she died, my aunt found them all and handed them out at Christmas. They lasted for a couple of years. In Christmas 2020, we had 6-month-old twins. To be prepared, we bought my older son's gifts early in the summer from Costco because we were too tired for anything else and too sleep-deprived, so we knew we wouldn't have the energy to go shopping and get ready for Christmas with 5-month-old twins and no help. We hid the gifts well so our son wouldn't find them. Around December 15th, I decided it was time to wrap the gifts. I casually checked the closets but couldn't find it. Next day, checked the more obscure spots, can't find it. Finally, I told my husband. We ripped the house apart and couldn't find where we hid them. Had to go to Costco last minute and buy whatever we could find. Our kid loved his gifts, but I was so bummed and upset that we spent a bunch of money and then lost the gifts somehow within a 1,200 square feet house. No scooter, no Picasso tiles. Instead, a Lego set he can't even really build himself yet, and the dreaded slime set. Ugh. A year later, we are packing up the house during our big cross-country move. The property manager comes to do a walkthrough. Mentions that the garage ceiling shelves are a good addition for storage since our house is small. What garage ceiling shelves? We had forgotten the fact that we had those shelves installed during summer, and the Christmas gifts that we bought from Costco were sitting neatly up there, staring at us the whole time. We have a friend who made this into a wonderful tradition. Any hidden present that was found after Christmas is set aside till Easter, and everyone at the Easter dinner party, kids and adults alike, gets a gift. Grandma is long departed and gifts are rarely forgotten, so items are bought throughout the year to support the party. I lost one this year and luckily found it while cleaning on Christmas Eve. What's worse is that it was a present my cousin in a different state asked me to pick up for my mother. I thought I was going to have to text Mom a picture I took of it so she could text it to my cousin saying she loved it. Turns out I had put it in a really obvious location, but because the bag had been hanging there for months, I had become blind to it. That's kind of adorable in a sad way, definitely more wholesome than many of these. Now it's an adventure challenge. This one is my favorite. Merry Christmas! Not my Christmas ruined, but my friend's. Her parents left home to stay in Florida. They were supposed to come back for Thanksgiving. They did not come back. Her parents were supposed to come back yesterday, Christmas Eve, to spend time with their kids. They did not. Her parents left her, 17, her sister, an adult but legally blind, and her grandmother, who just had a stroke and is in the hospital, alone. No financial support, and the only person bringing in money is her. She couldn't even celebrate Christmas with her family, just her sister. For the past few nights, my family has invited her to dinner to help out. I feel so bad for her. No teenage girl should have to go through such stressful events without the support of her parents during Christmas. I had a friend whose mom did this. So and left for months. Left him and his 2 siblings with $15. The oldest sibling just went to their dad's and the other 2 did their best. They spent a lot of time with my family. I really can't forgive their mom. Why would you abandon your kids? My cousin's dad did that one year. He asked my parents if they could watch her, 15, for a long weekend while they went to Vegas for another kid's extracurricular tournament. Parents said sure. Then he kept saying, "Oh, we decided to stay in Vegas a few more days." What was supposed to be 4 days turned into 2 weeks until my mom said she was going to report them for child abandonment. They got on a direct flight that night. We still don't know what was going on. Please talk to your parents. It sounds like your friend needs a responsible adult to help out and navigate CPS and whatever other BS her parents are pulling. This made me cry. Poor thing. Grandparents told everyone how they get one person something nice each year and that it was finally my turn. They gave me the nice big green egg and patio desk I was saving for. Then after they looked real nice to everyone and everyone else was gone, they told me it was a loan and I would need to pay them to keep it. I told them to get off. Oh my God, this happened to my wife last year for Christmas. Her father kept hounding her for money until we both stepped in and said if we wanted to get a loan for the item, we would have just put it on our credit card. I hate to be that person, but with this economy, a lot of elderly are struggling. You were saving for it anyway, so just pay it off. Tell them that you prefer they just be present in your life and that they never have to buy you a Christmas gift again to help them save face. You'll understand when you're old, if you're blessed to become old, that as an aging parent, your progeny still expects the world from you. They don't show mercy, and as humans, we don't want to show weakness as we age. Older people are from a different generation and have a different perspective. Love them while they're here. Technically, they don't have to give anything but feel obliged to play into the game and just pay off what you were originally willing to spend anyway. If you like, ask them to pay the interest on the loan while you pay the principal. Seriously though, a lot of elderly are struggling and are living longer. They're no longer in their earning years, so they have to make their savings stretch. That's a huge burden to deal with when they may have had a plan, but with the rise in interest rates coupled with corporate greed, this is quickly eating away at their budgets. Oh my gosh. For a minute, I thought I was reading a scene out of a film because no way real humans behave this way. I get the disturbing feeling they've done this with the other gifts, and you were the first one to flip them off. Rightfully so. I hope you feel good. The drunk asshole that was joyriding last night and totaled my car in a hit and run did a good job of ruining my day. Report it to the cops and start calling around to nearby auto shops, letting them know to look out for a car of a certain color with damage that could be caused by the accident you were in. You'll be able to describe it. It was a blue or black car sedan. It hit me hard from the side. Could be you get lucky. I watched 2 hit and run yesterday, one in front of my house. The dude was driving off without a front bumper as soon as I got out. Honestly, I feel like no one stops anymore unless their car is completely disabled, and even then, they try to leave. The other was a motorcyclist who rear-ended an SUV because he was too busy trying to look cool while looking around, but just barely avoided to only sideswipe it. I saw him shaking his foot as he popped a U-turn, blew a red light, and skipped off down another street. I hope it's broken. I also ride FK people like him. Happened to me on Christmas last year. I can't prove he was drunk since he fled, but I'm 99.9% sure. At first, I tried to follow him off the highway but quickly stopped after he blew through a red light and then drove the wrong way down a one-way street. Filed a police report, but they never found the guy. I hate people. I hope karma gets the person that hit you in some way. This exact thing happened to me on Christmas Day 2012. My car was parked in front of my grandmother's house, and my whole family had just had dinner, so we were all just relaxing and enjoying the evening. I remember almost dozing off, then we heard a huge bang right outside. My car, a tiny 1991 Corolla, was in a million pieces and pushed up onto the lawn I had parked on the street. A neighbor came over to tell us what he had seen shortly after. The neighbor kid from down the street had gotten super drunk and slammed his giant SUV into my car. Never saw that stupid guy again, even 11 years later. That was such a good car and was my first. This happened to me Saturday around 3 a.m. Didn't total my car, but luckily it was parked but ruined a morning I had planned on last-minute gift shopping and packing up for moving. I hope they catch the bastards, hun, and I'm so glad you're safe. My sister on Christmas Eve went through an accident too. They ran a red light and hit her straight on. Luckily, he was going the speed limit because if he had gone any faster, she would have had worse injuries. I'm so sorry. Drinking and driving can destroy so much for others. Such a selfish act. Drove 4 hours to spend the day with my dad, at his request 3 weeks ago. Then immediately after lunch, not even dinner, he said he and his new girlfriend, of 4 weeks, were invited to a friend's dinner and were going there. My drive was longer than the time he spent with me at his house. So now I'm watching Christmas movies and drinking with my grandma instead. After trying to fix our relationship, which has been rocky since I was a teenager, now in my 30s, it's great to realize he truly doesn't care. Sorry, you had to experience that. I'm in a similar boat with my father. He's the only parent I have left, and he will come up with excuse after excuse to not come visit and see his only grandchild. He last saw her when she was 2 years old. Now she's 11. I've offered to fly him up here and pay for his gas, and he'd rather do whatever it is he wants to do. This year, he's in Mexico with some random family members that I've never heard of and who he just visited a month ago. It's time for me to just walk away. My dad did this to me too. Not on Christmas, but still, it sucks. I drove 6 HRS and he said he and his girlfriend wanted to go to the county fair. That thing's a week long. He could have gone at any point. It was early, so my grandma and I didn't drink, but she did fry me some chicken. I tried to talk to him about his habit of ditching me and me never being his first option, and he told me that maybe if I wasn't such a girl all the time, he'd want to hang out with me. Well, I'm a new dad. I have a family now, and my dad didn't even reach out to me. 3 years ago, I moved back from another country due to COVID. Stayed at his house while finding work and working only to be told over the summer that he needed to be out by October. And now I'm lucky to hear from him, and I'm his firstborn. Never was a little thing. I just moved to another country for college, and now half my family doesn't even speak to me. I'm also 30, and it sucks realizing this late. So we haven't talked in almost 3 years, and they've been some of the best of my life. My job is going amazing. My husband and I adopted a wonderful kid. It turns out that having a dad like him and letting him treat me like that was really with my self-esteem. Now that he's gone, I'm still sad about it, but I know I'm great and the problems were with him the whole time. My heart aches for you. But at least you are free of any obligation in that direction now. That hits hard, and I'm so sorry. My parents flew down from another state to be with my wife and me for the holidays, then left today so they could have Christmas dinner with friends. I feel your pain and hope you and Grandma are at least enjoying time together. I feel you, some people never change. Have fun with Grandma, hope she cares. 80-year-old uncle ruined Christmas Eve with family, had to cancel. He got lost while hunting, but not terribly far from the road. He heard my brother-in-law and my grandfather searching for him, but was embarrassed, so waited to come out at sunrise after everyone went home after hours of searching, but before everyone came back, or so he thought. My 80-year-old grandfather, my uncle's brother, had open heart surgery this year and is going through radiation for cancer and couldn't sleep all night thinking his brother died in the woods. Grandfather and other older family members ended up feeling so bad from stress we had to cancel. Edit. Appreciate the input and concern. Unfortunately, he is a prideful person, and I'm not close to him, so there's a slim chance we'd convince him to get evaluated for dementia. I'll be talking to some family anyway to see if it would be possible. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you all had a good year. Hunting alone is not smart, especially at 80. My parents just had a hunter die on their property because he split up from his buddy and had a heart attack. They're not remote. He could have gotten help pretty quickly if he wasn't alone. Makes me paranoid about even going for walks by myself. My brother goes hunting sometimes, often alone, but not far into the woods in an accessible area, and he always follows the rules of going anywhere alone on a trip with people you don't know well. He'll text me his location, when he's there, where he's going, when he's back, and at what point I should get worried and call, and when to call rescue services. Also texts me when he reaches his car and when he reaches home if he's going to stop on the way. And I'm only one of the people he texts. He often will tell his in-laws, his husband, and an in-town friend since I live a few hundred miles away. But you can't be too safe doing things solo. Bad things happen, and you need to have a safety net way to be found. I'm sorry your Christmas is ruined. But from my point of view, it's a great Christmas. Your family went out looking for your lost uncle in the woods. Sounds like a family party. Sounds like he was just playing hide and seek and he won and all of you are just sore losers. My mother. She screamed at my dad like a banshee at about 6 a.m. All my dad did was put water in the coffee maker. When you put water in, it immediately starts brewing. I guess that was too early in the morning to start the coffee. I'm not exactly sure what her beef was. For context, For the first time in several years, my entire immediate family was all under one roof for an extended period. We were staying at my grandmother's house for the holidays. My mother has always been prone to fits of rage. Growing up, she exploded often. I haven't been around it in 9 years, and neither have my brothers, but we got an ugly reminder of her behavior yesterday morning. My dad doesn't believe in divorce. He works nights to avoid her. They pass like ships in the night. They have separate bedrooms and separate lives. My dad's uncle just passed away. That's why we all came together. We typically don't celebrate Christmas together. I overpaid to fly home today, and I opted out of Christmas dinner to do so. I left 2 days before everyone else. I can't do it. It's as if she's possessed by a demon. This time of year is like the Super Bowl for self-hating, passive-aggressive nitpickers. They never seem to have the balls to do or change, but they certainly can point out dumb, inconsequential things like champs. A friend invited me to stay for 2 weeks for the holidays, and after 2 days of ball breaking over dumb things, I realized my friend is a complete joy thief. This morning, I finally said to her, "If you're trying to make me feel like bad you were successful, congratulations." I made the mistake of asking how everyone liked their prime rib cooked, and she proceeded to criticize me as if I wanted to overcook the meat just because one little kid doesn't like the sight of blood. I was going to cut off a small portion to cook a little longer for the kid. This was a crazy idea. Why try to accommodate when you can belittle? One good thing from this is the inner happiness and pride I felt because I care. Fun fact, this chick is super religious. Oh hey, it's my childhood trauma. Good to see you. One of the things that helped me was recognizing that living in fear of these outbursts is a form of trauma, and that the outbursts are a form of abuse. My mom calmed down over the years, got therapy, I got the hell out of the house, and we're okay now. Things were bad between her and my father, and it got taken out on me. Your mother sounds really abusive towards your father. I hope that he is able to summon the courage and leave her someday. I'm sorry you and your dad had to experience this. And I hope this had ended so you're good now. My wife did by immediately after opening all the presents, telling me how disappointed she was in what I got her. Or I guess I did by buying her shitty presents depending on your point of view. Update to answer some questions. We've been married for 25 years. Most of the gifts were from her Christmas list. She was unhappy that I didn't also buy things not from the list. Creative things I've surprised her with in the past. Once I got her favorite artist, Dar Williams, to call her for her birthday. For her 50th, I surprised her with a convertible VW Beetle. I surprised her by flying her friends out to stay with us for Christmas a few years ago. It's not that I can't be creative. I just wasn't this year. Next year, take the money you would have spent on him and buy gifts for yourself. Put them under the tree for you from Santa. What a rad gift! I hope you good.